In the early 1920s, one man in Germany made a move that looked insane. While everyone else was saving cash, he was borrowing as much money as he could. Friends called him reckless. Banks thought he was crazy. 2 years later, Germany collapsed into hyperinflation. Money became worthless. People used cash to light fires. And that man, he became one of the richest people in the country because he understood something most people don't. When a system is quietly breaking, the rules change before you notice. Today, in America, something similar is happening. Prices rise, savings lose value, debt grows quietly in the background, and most people are watching the wrong signals, which means they're standing exactly where the system needs them to stand. For decades, the US dollar sat at the center of the global economy. Oil was priced in dollars, trade moved in dollars. Other countries stored their wealth in US debt. It created the illusion of stability, a system that looked unbreakable. But now, the cracks are showing. America is spending trillions it doesn't have. Interest on the national debt is exploding. The cost of everyday life feels heavier every month. Groceries cost more, rent costs more, healthcare costs more, and yet wages barely move. This isn't just inflation, it's the sound of a system under pressure. And the pressure isn't coming from one direction, it's coming from everywhere at once. For years, people believed there was an escape hatch, a way out of the system: stocks, crypto, digital money. But in 2024 and 2025, something changed. When markets shook, these assets didn't protect people, they fell together. Because once institutions entered the game, everything became connected. When Wall Street sells risk, it sells everything. The tools that were supposed to offer independence became part of the same machine, not because the technology failed, but because power always follows scale. When something grows large enough, the system absorbs it, and once it's absorbed, it no longer protects the people who believed in it first. Most Americans think the biggest danger is a market crash, a sudden drop, a bad year. But history shows something more subtle is more dangerous. When governments face debt pressure, they don't just print money, they change rules. They reshape what ownership means. They control access. They regulate exits. You don't need to confiscate wealth when you can trap it inside systems people can't leave. Digital platforms, financial rails, regulatory choke points. On paper, everything looks normal, but in reality, movement becomes permission-based. And once your money lives inside systems you don't control, ownership becomes conditional. This isn't happening to numbers. It's happening to people, to families trying to buy homes, to students buried under debt, to workers working harder for less breathing room. Some Americans are taking risks they don't fully understand, not because they're greedy, but because the old paths to stability no longer work. Savings accounts lose to inflation, pensions feel uncertain, home ownership drifts out of reach. So people gamble on volatility, hoping for relief. And when markets turn, it's not institutions who panic, it's regular people. The stress isn't just financial, it's psychological. When the system feels rigged, people start blaming themselves for failing inside it. This moment is different from past cycles because power is shifting in real time. Governments now openly track digital assets. Institutions hold what once stood outside the system. Data is becoming currency. The next few years won't be defined by one crash. They'll be defined by slow control. Control over access, control over liquidity, control over movement. The future of money isn't about coins or cash. It's about who controls the rails your value moves on. And once those rails are built, they don't get redesigned for the people using them. They get optimized for the people owning them. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness. First, if your entire financial life lives inside systems you don't control, you're exposed to rule changes you'll never vote on. Second, position size matters more than predictions. If a single market move can shake your life, your risk is too concentrated. Third, understand the difference between access and ownership. Convenience feels safe. until convenience becomes permission. This isn't about escaping the system. It's about not being blind inside it.
Every few generations, a financial system quietly reshapes itself, not with explosions, but with policy, with paperwork, with new rules that feel small until they aren't. The system doesn't collapse overnight. It slowly changes the ground you're standing on. You can't control national debt, you can't control global finance, but you can control whether you're paying attention. Because in periods of debasement, the most expensive mistake isn't being wrong about markets, it's being unaware of how the game itself is changing. The floor is shifting. The question is simple. Are you standing on solid ground or on a trapdoor?